Hey everybody, welcome back to the Social Science Club. My name is Toussaint Morrison. Thank you so much for tuning in. It has been a wild 2 weeks, but with a lot of these videos, I want to keep the intro short and just want to thank you for tuning in. But we'll get right into it. And what I'm going to talk about today is the importance and paramount value of storytelling, especially when it comes to state-sanctioned violence. In April of 2021, I got a phone call. We were on a march for Justin Tigan, a young black man who was effectively killed by state-created danger. I'll get into that some other time. And it was his birthday, and we were marching through St. Paul, and we got word that Dante Wright had been killed by Kim Potter, former Brooklyn Center police officer. And we showed up to 63rd and Catherine, and had massive protests. There were police officers from all over the state, from Rogers, Minnesota, which is like 45 minutes away from Brooklyn Center, and all over. And it was a mess. What Kim Potter did to Dante Wright was awful, and there's a lot of words to go with that. And it was extremely emotional. What happened later that night was a lot of speeches, a lot of grieving, candles, people creating a memorial where Dante had been killed. He was shot by Kim Potter, drove off, and then his car stopped. And there was a lot of memorials made around that area. And what happened later that night, the interesting part, and I'm jumping through a lot of the emotion of it just to get to the point of what happened, what happened with the internet. And I had given a speech at the memorial. Some other footage had gone out of other things. And I tried to post the speech to my Instagram story that night. And it just kind of gave this it just kept doing that. And I was like, oh, Instagram must be, not working. But other things were able to upload to my Instagram story, but that wasn't. And the next day, somebody had posted something that Tabitha Brown had said that she couldn't post anything about Dante Wright. Tabitha Brown is a social media influencer, famous vegan extraordinaire, just a amazing black woman. I mean, she's designer, all these things. She does amazing, amazing stuff. And she posted that she couldn't post anything to her story about Dante Wright. What had happened, what Instagram did, I was about to say, what had happened was, but what Instagram did was it muted the sharing of the story of what happened to Dante Wright, because whatever Instagram's interests are doesn't fit their brand to have people telling the truth about state-sanctioned violence, about telling the truth about police brutality, about telling the truth about black people being effectively murdered by state-sanctioned violence. And that's not in Instagram's interests, and so they muted everything. You couldn't share anything about Dante Wright. Fast forward to today with Mahsa Amini. Iran has shut down their internet. They're beginning to shut down their internet. They have shut down Instagram. But the point is, when countries and entities and entire social media brands shut down people from talking about a certain thing, anybody could be watching this video that lies on either side of the political spectrum. You could be pro-cop, you could be pro-whatever. They're shutting down the sharing of the story for a reason. Now, I need you to think about why that is. It's not just because, this is going to hurt Kim Potter's feelings, or this is a bad look for the Brooklyn Center Police Department, or, oh man, this is really going to look bad for the regime in Iran. No, this is because by showing these stories, it then influences other people to understand the truth of what's happening, and then organizes people, whether they know it or not, to form an opinion and start investing in that story. I mean, think about movies. I mean, let's just take it a step back. Storytelling is one of the most powerful creations in humanity. It is, you can be You can be influenced to take up any activity by just way of a story. You can be influenced to go to somewhere different in the world by way of a story. You can be influenced to change your life by way of a story. Storytelling, hearing the stories of other people that we find ourselves in, or we find somebody that we loved in them, it influences us to do things. And so, with that being said, when you see the truth of what happened to Dante Wright, you see the truth of what happened to Mahsa Amini, is that it then influences you to be informed. And then you create your opinion from there. Now you may say, well, you may say Dante this or Dante that or Mahsa this or Mahsa that. But the idea is that you've received the story and now you can make your opinion. These entities, they're muting the story. The Instagram stories were muted that day because you have to ask the question, why is Dante Wright's story, or why is what Kim Potter did not in the interest of being shown on IG to IG? And you can form your opinion from there. Iran has done this before, shutting down the internet while hundreds of thousands of people are killed by state-sanctioned violence. And the same thing is happening in Iran right now. They're essentially, people are saying that they're scheduled to have the internet being shut down soon, but Instagram is already down. And it's because, and this gets like, I guess saying this phrase, they don't want you to see, they're muting the story to change how you perceive the history of what's going on. To the victor go the spoils, but also to the colonizers go the pens to write the history books. And so when we write certain people out, enslaved cultures, cultures that have been assaulted, beaten, subjected to free labor, that's changing the story to make the people that are in charge of said land look like conquistadors, conquerors, noble folks. And the idea is to make somebody who maybe wasn't so much of a altruistic protagonist look like an altruistic protagonist. And this goes in many directions, but to boil it down, you see the parallels, or I'm seeing the parallels between what is happening to black people here in the United States, what's been happening to black people, to us in the United States, and what's happening regarding women's rights, people's rights, and civil rights in Iran. And it's the same thing. It's state-sanctioned violence, and then entities wanting to cover up the stories of what's happening. And just take a look into that. Like, sit with that. My whole thing for this channel, it's early on. I mean, I have my feelings and my opinions about things, and I've expressed them very openly, loudly, and widely on this channel. But I think it's important for you to figure out how you feel about this. But I want to point out the parallels between Dante Wright, Mahsa Amini, and then also, I mean, there's so many other, points where this runs parallel, but this is just one of them. And take a close look. Go to ground.news and ground.news for people that lie on either side of the political spectrum. They will give you a story, and then they'll show all the publications that have covered that story, and then they'll make a judgment on whether that story leans right or left, and then they will, or in the middle, and then you can choose where you want to read the story. And that's usually where I get my news. Or, you can read The Hill, you can read Fox, you can read Breitbart, you can read Mother Jones. I mean, it's all there. But I would encourage you to go there and check that out. But the end result is take a look at other instances where stories have been muted, where history books have edited out. This is what's happening right now in Iran. So take a look at that. Really, really, really engage with it. Like, hone in on that. This is important, man. And this has to do with your life as well. You really have to check in with the truth. Check in with the truth. Because when we have these large entities that are editing or muting or obfuscating what's going on, like just leaving it out, that's for a reason. That is for a huge reason. And it's to keep business going as usual. It's to keep business going as usual. And then we can go further on and figure out what that business is. I don't want to get too long-winded with this video, but I wanted to show the parallel between what Instagram did with videos regarding Dante Wright upon the day that he was killed, and what a lot of people would say is murdered by Kim Potter, versus what's happening right now, which Mahsa Amini definitely, that was intentional from what everybody had reported from her being brain dead several hours after being arrested, from witnesses seeing her being beaten to brain dead in the vehicle before she was taken away. So look at those parallels, and then look at also locally how that's played out in your city and your community as well. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you found it of value, hit the subscribe button or like, and we will see you in the next Social Science Club. Bye-bye.